everyone. Welcome to Sonographers in the Cities. I'm Lynn.
And I'm Giselle.
If you're new here, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. We love doing this and hope that our podcast has been, and will be helpful and fun for you as it has been fun for us. Before we get started, please don't forget to set your notifications and rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. And if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to Giselle's channel for more episodes.
Yay. You're doing so great at these intros. Look at you go. You've come a long way. Yes, you guys, thank you so much for being here, for listening. The views on the videos have been going up, which is really cool. And also our downloads on the podcast has been going up too. So we're really glad you guys are here listening and enjoying the conversations. We've got a lot to talk about. Me and Lynn have been talking for almost an hour already before we even started our podcast. So we definitely love doing this and enjoy talking. And we're going to talk about a very, I guess, I don't know if it's controversial, not really. It's just something
a heavy
topic, something that you're all going to eventually have to deal with. Or if you're not in ultrasound, like anywhere, like working
it's
anywhere.
Just any workplace.
So we're going to talk about your workplace environment. We've got a few questions about the workplace. So we kind of bunched them a little bit together and we're going to talk about it, go over some things, the things that Lynn has learned, the things that I have learned throughout all of our jobs in the last few years. And so if you guys haven't listened to any of our other question and answer podcasts, don't forget to listen to those, because we do talk about a lot of things that you probably won't hear anywhere else. So yeah, we're gonna start with Lynn. And just before we start in the question, she is now at an outpatient place. So her workplace environment has drastically changed from being at a hospital, and now she's at an outpatient. So how's that going?
It has changed 180 degrees. I'm in an outpatient private practice, so it's very different. Operations are very different from hospital or big corporation setting. I feel like I'm being worked a lot, even though like I'm a student and they are willing to teach me, they don't have time to teach me. And I said to Giselle, I think before, like like my worst fear of being a student is like going to a place where they're not willing to teach. But here I am, they don't have time to teach. They're just basically, this is the term I just learned from Giselle. It's a conveyor belt. Is that what it is? Can you explain what that means?
Yeah. So what I was telling her, and she was explaining it to me, a lot of times when people look to outpatient settings, sonography, they kind of relate it to a conveyor belt, which you may, of where like patients are coming in, you're scanning them, they're going out, and you're getting your next patient. You've got a time limit. You've got 15 minutes or 30 minutes. 15 minutes, I think, is crazy, but I do know of a lot of places that do 15-minute exams. And so like windowed exams. So that doesn't even include like the patient getting on the table, undressing, getting their dress or putting their clothes back on. And so sometimes we look to it as a conveyor belt because you're just like snap, 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 go, 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 go. No time to sit down and write your paperwork. Sometimes people are stuck doing their paperwork on their lunch break. So yeah, when she was talking to me about that, I was like, yep, it's pretty much how it goes in the outpatient, because you're doing so much in such a little time.
Yes, and that's exactly it. My first day, you're hearing this the week. So my first day would have been last week. I was starting to learn how to write reports, and I was basically writing reports for one of the sister location, because that location was so busy they didn't have time to write the reports, which is like what Giselle just said. And then my second day, I started scanning, and then it became to like a conveyor belt. My preceptor's like, I prep this patient for you, go scan. And then she takes over, and then I prep another patient for you, go scan. There's only one, she's the only sonographer. I was basically her assistant, and there are 2 machines. So we just like swap back and forth different rooms. And it was like that for 6 hours before I could take my lunch break. And I only have an 8-hour day with a 1-hour lunch. So
At least you get an hour lunch.
yeah, I have to.
Mhm.
It's the law,
It's a
but
law. Oh wow, we only get
for
30
like
minutes out here.
students,
Oh, nice.
they
Okay,
have 30
but they
minutes.
get 30 minutes. Oh, I
Yeah.
see, I see. Nice.
But it's just very fast paced, which I liked. I'm like my skills have improved, like my exams are like a little bit faster each time, but it's just like if I have a questions, I don't really get to ask because there's no time.
I honestly feel like a lot of students are going to relate to this. And even sonographers will definitely relate to this because now they're seeing from an outside perspective of somebody who hasn't seen this before. And when Lynn was telling me this earlier, I was like, yeah, sounds about right. I'm glad that you're getting to experience this. And now you can see that like how busy it can really get and how tiring it is. And think about the people who are burnt out there and they're doing this every single day. And you said it yourself, if there was only one sonographer, she would have done all that by herself. Right.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And this location is open 7 days a week.
Wow.
And they have only 5 paid holidays a year. So it's intense. This
Ah,
location is really intense.
that's crazy. Well, I can't wait to hear more about it. Um, in the upcoming weeks. I know that you are capable of doing what you're doing.
Oh, thank you.
I don't think she would like let you do that if she didn't trust you and think you weren't
Mm-hmm.
capable, because half the time um you've already been through another clinical space. So I feel like if you were someone that was brand new, obviously you would not survive.
No, I would be drowning because I was basically running around like with a chicken with its head cut off. I was like, okay, I'll go here. Okay, I'll go there. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I didn't even get to introduce myself to the patient. I just like scan, scan, scan.
Yeah.
Even the doctor was running around, just like no time to like sit in her chair. She just runs between the rooms just to see the images so that she can see the patient.
Right. And I like knowing that you're getting this experience and that you're being like positive about the experience because there are other people who probably would really hate this experience, but you, like you said it yourself, you're learning and you're going to get quicker at it. Like doing this and putting yourself out there is going to help you in the long run. There's going to things that are going to happen and you're going to be like, "Oh, okay, so this happened. What do I do?" You have to think so fast and you can't even like stop to breathe or ask someone a question, which is like insane to think about. But also, like, I'm sure if it was really something crazy or horrible or whatever, like, you would be able to stop and be
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, something's not right here. But you are comfortable enough to realize, like, you know what you're doing, you are capable, and you're getting things done. Like, at this point, you're almost like you don't even
I'm
need
halfway
help.
there.
Yeah.
Halfway there. I
Which
do
is
need help.
great.
I do
Yeah.
need help. It's just I try to be smart about it so that
Mm.
I don't waste my time or especially my preceptor's time. And it's like this location really drains me at the end of the day. I sleep like a baby after, but I do try to take a positive outlook on it because it is a learning experience. Like every single thing that we all do is a learning experience. And even if I get like constructive feedbacks of that's the best learning experience. So
Ah, yay. Well, I love that. Hopefully if you have if you need any help or any questions, always know that there's going to be people out there, even in our Discord, like people message in there every single day and are like, hey, I need help with this, or what do you do with this, or blah blah blah. Like there will be people who are willing to help whenever you have some kind of question in your brain. But like I said, I really feel like you're capable and I believe they
thank
trust you
you.
enough. So I
I hope so.
mean, it's you are halfway to graduation,
I
so
know. So I should know
you should
something, right?
know, yeah, you should know how to do a carotid, some vascular stuff.
Oh,
But that's
yeah,
exciting. So I
it
mean,
is.
knowing that you're now in a new environment, it kind of it just goes into our conversation today, which is like the workplace environment, and you can now see the differences between here and where you were before. And now just imagine all of the other places out there where we can potentially work. And I'm just always curious about how other hospitals are ran or what they do. And I worked at a lot of different locations. I've also worked at outpatient facilities, doctors, private practices, big hospitals, small hospitals, a hospital out in the middle of this little tiny town called Pahrump, super tiny. It's like literally 13-bed hospital, very small.
Oh my
So I've
goodness.
seen how it can be. And with that being said, like what kind of like what do you expect out of a workplace environment? Like where you want to work in general? Like what do
I would
you
expect the one thing is professionalism and respect. That's like that to me, like every workplace should be that. And I know that there's like code of conducts, and every time you get hired, you get all of that paper. But just like unofficially, there should be professionalism amongst the team members. And so even if you're new, you got to respect your seniors and your managers, supervisors. Just it's like the basics of our society. And what am I thinking?
like
but but it's just that's just how it is. Like wherever you work, it's a team environment, so you have to be able to work with other people. And I'm sure, like, in all the interviews that any of us would go on, they would say,
right.
how would you deal with teamwork? Or you get those behavioral questions, like if you have a conflict with another coworker or something, and how would you do that? So that's very, very common. It doesn't apply to sonography. It applies everywhere.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point. It's to where everywhere has their little code of conduct thing. Like we have this thing, it's like an unspoken thing, like how you should be at work, what the work environment should be. Like it really like you're at work to do your job. You're at work to like get something done. And the way you act at work should be different than like, you know, when you're
Yes.
not at work,
Mm-hmm.
like you have to be a certain way at work. That is your job. It is your career for any job or career. So it's it kind of goes to show what a lot of people can have a certain feeling about what they expect from a workplace. And when we do these interviews, we don't just ask them just to ask them. We ask them because we want to know, how do you actually deal with that? Do you fit in with the company's ideals, values, goals? And that's why when you guys ask us about like, oh, I have an interview, like what should I say? What do I do? Like, well, they want to know how you are and what you're going to actually how you're going to react to the situation, because it's not all rainbows and butterflies at work. There's going to be drama, there's going to be hard days, there's going to be toxic workplaces at that. So one of the questions we were asked was, how does an employee tackle bullying at a workplace? So obviously bullying should never be tolerated and bullying should not happen, but it does happen. So, in your experience, not even just like an ultrasound, like, have you ever had that experience where either you were bullied or you knew somebody who was bullied?
Fortunately, I've never been bullied. But I read stories. I hear in my last job, I was in the manager position. So I was reported of bully events. And, that's just like, as a manager, like, you obviously have to take care of that immediately. And how you approach it is just, if obviously that person doesn't feel uncomfortable, so you're that third person to mediate and all stuff, and then you just take the appropriate steps in order to resolve the situation. Or if you can't, then you need to go to your next you know supervisor. So you just go up the ladder until you reach HR. So it's very complicated. And for those who are being bullied, talk to someone, talk to your coworkers, talk to your friends, talk to your if you're close to your mentors. Like, your mentors and your supervisors are actually the person that you should talk to at work if you're being bullied at work.
I 100% agree. Like, I also fortunately haven't been bullied at work, but I do know that it does happen. And I've seen people struggle with the fact that like they are going through stuff. And when that does happen, yes, you're supposed to tell somebody, someone that you trust, anyone, and just see where it goes from there, because then you have this situation that's not just in your head, and you need to see it from an outside perspective of like, okay, what's happening isn't right, but you need to like figure it out first before it like kind of like gets bigger and bigger and bigger. I feel like if you tell somebody like your mentor, your supervisor, I feel like you'll be guided a little bit better. Like even if you tell your friends or your family, like a lot of people who are bullied are afraid to speak up and like don't even want to talk about it. But I think that you should, because it's important that it's known, like because it shouldn't be happening. And always there's like a situation that needs to be talked about, mediated. There's always different sides to different, like different stories to different sides and things like that. Sometimes things can be put out of context, or sometimes things are really inappropriate and need to have the correct action. And you don't want it to be, this whole thing. Like just when you're in these types of situations, I feel like it's important that you are heard in what's happening, and then the next appropriate step is being taken, because it shouldn't be taken lightly. So yeah, definitely reach out. And I've had many people like message me about not bullying in general, but I'm just saying like they've messaged me about situations, and we can give you advice as much as we want to, but ultimately it's your decision at the end of the day to tell someone or do something about it. um and yeah, that's a very hard thing to talk about, because like I said, a lot of people are afraid to stand up or say something. But I like the fact that you have experience from being the management side of it and seeing the process and how it goes and how it works.
Yes, I've just like I don't know. I went to school. I got a bachelor's in psychology. I chose
Mm.
retail management because I wanted to do psychology in the workplace. So that kind of like flows in with what I wanted to do
Yeah.
at the time. And I don't know, like for me, like for managers and leaders in any field, unfortunately, it's not as common to have a good leader. But the leaders that are your leaders should be able to take care of these situations appropriately and in a timely manner. So like Giselle said, talk to somebody you trust. um, you can just, as long as you talk it out, you can ask for advice. You don't have to ask for advice. You can just, like, we
Say,
can listen,
talk.
just vent. It's your mental health that's affecting, and that's what's most important.
So the next question someone asked was, "Do you like your coworkers?"
Giselle, do you
And
like your coworkers?
yeah, I love my coworkers. The thing is that Lynn and I had a conversation about toxicity in the workplace prior to wondering what we were going to talk about today, which questions we were going to answer. And you're not always gonna work at a place where you love your coworkers or like your coworkers. And while that is unfortunate, you kind of have to pick and choose your battles. Um, we were talking about how you should honestly choose what is right for you and your personality. If you don't get along with people, are you going to enjoy being there? And if you don't like your coworkers and you're still working there, like what's keeping you there? So this topic, I can say from being in the field and working at multiple places. Um, and I'm not saying like everyone likes me. I'm not saying everyone likes me, but I do get along with people. Like in every place I worked at, I make it a point to try to get along with them, because I don't want the toxic environment around me. And I mean, there could be a toxic environment that I have no clue is going on, but if I'm not involved in that, so I take my place out of that toxicity, if there is toxicity, and I just do my thing, do my job. So yeah, I mean, I've had issues in the past with coworkers, but never an issue where like I could couldn't go up to them and say like, hey, like this is how I feel, this is what's happening, like, and talking it out, communicating. So, but I fortunately work at a place where I get along with all my coworkers and I enjoy working there. And especially at night, there's only two of us, and me and my coworker, we're actually sorority sisters. So we have a blast at work.
That's the best.
Yeah, like, and
Those are
that's,
goals.
yeah, it makes a difference when you really like the person you work with, right? Because we have fun at work, we get our job done, we enjoy it, and obviously not everyone's gonna work with their sister or their brother, like, um, but you do have to have this relationship with your coworkers in order to make things, I think, flow, and and just having communication. So I mean, when, like, from you coming from a student's perspective, obviously, I feel like you have to like them. No, I'm just kidding. But how was it when you were at your other site, like your first site? Did you like the people you worked with? Because technically they were your, I mean, they're above you, but like technically you worked with
In a
them. So
workplace environment. So
yeah.
yes, I do like them a lot. I still talk to them. They just invited me out to karaoke,
Oh,
so
fun.
but I can't
Yeah.
go. I have plans. Um, but no, they're the best. I yeah, I totally agree with what you said. It's like, at the end of the day, like your goal, that saying when you said like it's not work if you're having fun, and the best
Yeah.
part of it is to have fun and get paid. So I
Yeah.
think that's what you have, like your ideal situation right there, and I'm very
Yeah.
jealous of you.
One day, one day.
But that's my goal as well. Where you can work and have fun with your coworkers, because that's how you will get to your potential of doing your job. Because like if you think, like, if you're managing a team and the team is not functioning well and all your coworkers are depressed or like very toxic, you're not gonna produce um, results. Like, for instance, like for sonography, so you won't be able to produce, like, be, was it efficient with patients, and then it's just gonna start to fall apart. um, so liking your coworkers is not a must, but like professionalism, like I said before, is key. Like communication, like Giselle just said, is key. Like you don't have to like your coworkers, you don't have to be best friends with them, but you do have to be cordial and or enough to work together
Yeah.
so that you can do your job.
Right. I think there needs to be a mutual respect. I think
Mm-hmm.
the respect of like, okay, I'm working, doing my job, you're working, doing your job. And now, so like when you guys are asking us, do you like your coworkers? Like obviously the obvious answer is yes, we do. But there are a lot of people out there who don't like their coworkers, and there are a lot of people out there who just kind of, get by um just by getting through their jobs, not causing any drama. And unfortunately, there's a lot of drama out there. And that's just like, do your best not to get involved. Honestly, if you want to have a good workplace environment for yourself, like, do not insert yourself in the
Yes.
situation.
Agreed.
And I think that's like the smartest thing you can do is just don't insert your opinion. Just listen. If they have something to say, just listen and be like, oh, I have
I
no
say
words.
I say just be neutral, do your job, do your
Yeah.
best, be
Mm-hmm.
the best sonographer to your patients,
Yeah.
and just if someone brings up like bullying or any issues that like arises, just take the appropriate steps.
Yeah. And that's like this, I mean, that's a simple answer to the questions, but obviously they can be so broad depending on the situation. Everything and every place is different, and the way things are ran are different. Just like Lynn is now seeing at this outpatient place,
Oh yes, so different.
things are going to be different at each environment. So if you are able to like try to work at new places, like be open to it and be open to the idea so you can see how it is, and then at the end of the day you can decide like, oh, this is not for me, or I don't fit here, or this place does not suit my needs, and you find somewhere else. And yeah, I mean,
And that also kind of ties back to where you can figure out during the interview process, because the interview process is a two-way
Mhm.
uh,
Yeah.
thing. Like you interview them, or like you're going to an interview, but they're interviewing you to see how you fit, but you're also interviewing them to see how they fit with what you want and what you need. So don't sell yourself short on like, oh, I'm gonna accept this job offer, but then you don't like it because you didn't ask the questions that you wanted to ask at the interview,
Yeah. Like
because
if
that'll
I
be a waste of your time.
right, if I already knew how a place was, like let's say just say through the grapevine, I probably wouldn't even apply, you know. But like if they explain to you like what they're expecting and you explain to them what you're expecting, like it's an agreement, like Lynn said. You don't have to say yes to a job opportunity that gives you one if you do not like what they're offering. And that is the whole point of like receiving an offer and accepting the offer, because you don't even have to accept it. Go into the interviews and talk to them and see how it is. See, you know, what they offer to their employees. Because, like, if I was working at a toxic place, however, you made money, had good benefits, it was good hours. Like, if I was able to separate myself from the toxicity, fine. Like, I'm just here to do my job. But if it's affecting me and like I really can't handle it, I feel like I wouldn't deal with it, right? Like, and I've worked at so many places, and I can luckily say out here in Vegas that a lot of the places out here are great to work at. So I would recommend anyone to work at wherever out here. It's just personality wise, you might not clash with some of these people if you have like strong personalities. Sometimes strong personalities do just like, but that's like anywhere in any job. So just kind of pick and choose your battles.
Yes, because life is not easy, and
Mhm.
in workplace environment, there are toxicity, there's always drama, there's always cliques, there's always like bad management. Anything that you can think of is there. It's just how you handle it, how you react to it, and what your preference is. If you like want to work there, if you don't want to work there, or like, it's just up to you, for
Yeah.
lack of better words.
Yeah. But I don't know.
It's
That's
those
pretty
things
good.
you don't like, but you can't avoid.
Mm-hmm. Like it's always gonna be there. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna like I love my place of work, but I'm not gonna say that it's like easy to work there because it's really not. And there's so many people. Most departments are actually kind of smaller. Um, Maybe if you work at a large company with like a large department, that's where it gets a little bit more difficult because there's so many people and like so many things you need to go through. Like let's say you're trying to get a day off, but like no one wants to take your shift, or like there's little things that will frustrate you.
Mhm.
um and like you hear stuff through the grapevine, or like people like talk, like the ultrasound community is very small. So honestly, it's just I do my best to just keep to myself. If I really need to insert myself, I would, but a lot of the times I'm just like a bystander, just like watching things happen. Like, hmm, that
It's like,
happened.
ooh.
Wow, that's happening.
I can see that.
I'm just sitting there like, oh, that's happening. Hmm.
That's like me
Wow.
too. I'm just like very zoned out on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just focusing on what I want to do and what I need to do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm here to do my job.
Hmm.
I'm here for 3 days, and then I'm bouncing. I'm out. But yeah, if you guys have any more questions, hopefully you guys keep sending them through. I really enjoy your guys' questions because it gives us something interesting to talk about, things we probably would have never thought of, I feel like, on our own to just like talk about. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know if I would ever like talked about bullying in a workplace. Um, like, out of just random thoughts, right? But
Right.
because that question was given to us, we were able to answer. So don't forget to give us questions. And yeah, hopefully you guys are enjoying our episodes.
Yes, thank you so much for listening. I'm getting comments or messages about our episodes that you guys are loving it. So thank you so much for listening. Send in more questions. We'll continue this. I think this is a successful segment that we're going to continue because these are amazing questions, very heavy questions. And they're very, very relatable, not just for sonography. And it's a little, how can I say this? It's a little plus in the, our routines.
Yeah,
Just a little.
we do enjoy talking, and I mean it's a different way to like talk about ultrasound than to just like answer your guys' questions in your DMs, and having a conversation between Lynn and I, it's like two different perspectives, so
Yes.
it's like a lot of fun. And I just love seeing the growth in Lynn, like from like our very first episode to today. Like it's really cool to just see that and grow together.
Yes.
Yeah. So you guys don't forget to follow us on social media.
Yes, and if you're watching, tag us so that we see it, so that we can reshare. And thank you again. Big thanks.
Yes,
until next week.
Yes, we'll see you guys next time, and we'll talk soon.